Well, thank you for bringing me out here today. I love seeing that this is out on the grounds now. It's not in restoration anymore. So tell me a little bit about this.
Well, we brought this out in 25, and it took a while to restore it. And this is a Vietnam era. Actually saw action in Vietnam. Huey, UH-1, and so what we've got, and the reason named Huey is they started out as HU-1, and so people called it the Huey. When they switched it to a utility helicopter, UH-1, it changed, but they kept the name Huey as the, it's really an Iroquois is what they named it. And this helicopter is really special to us. When we got it from CAL FIRE, it was pretty messed up. It had actually been left at up in Sacramento and used as a parts helicopter.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So it came very.
It was it was all in shambles, no engines. It was a mess. And so this helicopter's legacy, when it was built in '68, it immediately went to Vietnam and went to the 101st Combat Division, right out on. They called it, I think it was Eagle. Anyway, it was out in Vietnam. And we happened to have run into the person who was the crew chief of this plane, John Sutton, and his brother Bruce were stationed at the same base in Vietnam. He was a Loach pilot, and John happened to be the supervisor that maintained this helicopter. So in contacting him, we found out that it was a command and control helicopter. When it was brought in, that means it was full of radios. And so anytime there was something happening, this helicopter would be flying above with the radios going, listening to the ground, listening to other helicopters, listening to the Air Force, to try to manage what was happening. And that's why it's painted the way it is, because this is exactly how John painted it. And It's got the white on so it's painted authentically to that period of time. But that was only a short period of time. Right after that, then it went into troop transport, and it was used to bring troops into battle and bring them out.
How many people could fit in there?
They could, up to 10 can fit in there. So it's really cramped when they do that. Usually what they have on it is this whole side door either slides open, and many times in Vietnam they took them off. And they would have a 50 caliber machine gun or 30 on each side. So anyway, this whole configuration would be open with the men working inside. If there was medevac that happened, and later on this became a medevac helicopter as well. So it went through a whole layer of what is possible with a helicopter, with the Huey helicopter, from being command and control, troop transport, and medevac during the Vietnam era.
Wow.
Yeah, and then later on, when it came back to the United States, it was used in training, and then ended up being, when it was retired, turned over to the CAL FIRE and the Forest Service, and then they used it for parts.
How many are still in existing these days, like in museums and whatnot?
I'm not
sure.
I don't have that number, but I will tell you there's a lot of them. Actually, our county, Merced County's Sheriff's Department has this version.
Oh wow!
And they use it. And so it flies,
really?
and that is one of their primary helicopters they use. And so because it's utilitarian, a utility helicopter. It's got a jet engine, turbo engine inside, and so you can get the parts for them. It can carry a big load, and it's very diverse. You can hear it coming though. It's got the whop 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 sound that you know when it's coming. Little history. This plane was designed in the 50s. We have a Sioux, which was designed earlier than that, used in the Korean War, and then prior to that, helicopters were really not used or thought of. The Germans during World War II had a program that they were developing, a twinned rotor platform, but it could only fly inside. They had it inside. They'd show off how it could be a vertical takeoff, but it really was not stable. It wasn't until Igor Sikorsky developed the system that they used to keep the rotors could turn and the tail rotor so it had stability. And once he developed that, then you've got companies all over the place developing. Sikorsky's was the main helicopter company. Boeing got into the helicopter, and then this is a Bell helicopter, which you hear a lot of Bell, the name Bell used in helicopters. So this is this one became the prime helicopter. You'll still find them all over the United States being used. And you'll find them in barns and stuff and parts. We found a helicopter graveyard, you want to say, of a gentleman up in Oregon who has passed away since, but he had barns full of parts and carcasses of helicopters.
So who went in there and cleaned up after all that?
Yeah, we had a gentleman who actually did go up there and kind of babysat when the son took over with all these parts going, I just want to throw them away, and this guy's saying, don't do that. we can find homes for all these parts because there are helicopters out there that you can find. But there's different variants, and I can't tell you exactly what variant this one is versus another one, but it mostly has to do with the engine compartments because they would upgrade and change the engines. So.
Wow, and so I do remember when this was in restoration, the door was off, and so I could see exactly what you're saying. When you say 10 people could fit in there cramped, I could see that.
Yeah, it's pretty jammed. You got a pilot and a co-pilot, and then with the radios in there, you couldn't get hardly anybody else. You had radio operators, but once you took that out, then you could get a group in there, and it'd be really tight. And
that's what's great about coming to Castle Air Museum on Open Cockpit Day. You can actually get a view in the restoration room. You can get a peek of how the planes look then you can kind of see them out here and see all the transformation, all that goes into it. So don't forget to come to Open Cockpit, and don't forget to like and subscribe.